In the glittering chaos of Los Angeles, amidst the glamour of Forrester creations and the shadows of broken promises, a new war was brewing, not of fashion, not of power, but of love. A woman stood in the center, torn between two men who refused to let her go. Hope Logan, daughter of legacy, mother of Beth, bearer of heartbreak, was about to become the prize in the most emotional and ruthless showdown the city had seen in years. Liam Spencer versus Carter Walton. Two men. One heart. It began quietly. Carter Walton had long admired Hope from afar, but admiration had grown into something more. After months of comforting her through the wreckage Liam left behind, broken vows, shattered dreams, and an affair of guilt, Carter had emerged as Hope's steady ground. He offered her something she had lost: peace, maturity, stability. And in return, Hope gave him her trust. Then her affection. Then, slowly, her love. Their engagement came with a gasp across the Forrester boardroom and a flood of headlines in every tabloid. Hope and Carter, unexpected but golden. Brooke was stunned. Ridge offered cautious approval. Steffi bristled in silence. But only one man saw red. Liam Spencer. The same Liam who once begged Hope to forgive him for the emotional damage he'd done. The same Liam who stood by silently as she picked up the pieces of their crumbling family. The same Liam who watched her grow distant, then strong, then unavailable. Now he wanted back in. And he wasn't asking. At first, Liam tried charm. He visited Hope more often, under the pretense of co-parenting Beth. He lingered in conversations. He mentioned old memories, the cabin, the laughter, the hope they once shared. He began showing up unannounced with coffee, with drawings Beth made, with subtle tokens of the life they once had. Hope smiled politely, but never opened the door he was waiting at. Still, Liam persisted. It didn't take long for Carter to notice. One glance across the park, Liam helping Beth swing while sneaking glances at Hope, and Carter saw it. The game had begun. At first, Carter played it cool. He knew what Liam had done. He knew the trail of betrayal Hope had endured. He knew Liam was the man who broke her. But knowledge wasn't enough to stop fear. Fear that Hope still loved Liam. Fear that history would repeat itself. Fear that the picture-perfect future he imagined was cracking before it began. The cracks widened when Liam showed up during one of Carter and Hope's wedding planning sessions. He pretended it was about Beth's school schedule. But he stayed too long, talked too much, laughed a little too familiarly. And Carter saw the look in Liam's eyes. It wasn't nostalgia. It was intention. Carter confronted Hope that night, gently at first. He asked if she was sure. She said yes. He asked if Liam still had a place in her heart. She didn't answer. That silence roared louder than any confession. Hope wasn't trying to hurt him. She simply wasn't ready to admit that Liam still had a hold on her. Not completely. Not rationally. But emotionally, deep down in the pieces she hadn't yet swept up, he was there. As the weeks passed, Liam's strategy shifted from subtle to bold. In a preview clip aired the week of August 25th to 29th, Liam faced the cameras with unshakable confidence. "There's nothing more important to me than Hope and Beth," he declared. The public ate it up. But Carter saw through it. This wasn't a heartfelt declaration. It was a challenge. Carter saw the truth in Liam's eyes during a family outing in the park. Hope, Beth, and Liam laughing together, the picture of domestic bliss. Carter approached, unseen at first, and watched as Liam pulled Hope into a hug. She didn't resist. Carter clenched his fists. Later, they locked eyes across the grass. No words were needed. The war had begun. The tension escalated in private. Carter confronted Liam behind closed doors at Forrester, rage simmering beneath his calm voice. "You had your chance," Carter said. "You broke her. Now you want her back because someone else is giving her what you couldn't." Liam didn't flinch. "I want her back because I still love her. And I think deep down she still loves me." "Then why did she say yes to me?" Carter snapped. Liam stepped closer. Because she doesn't know what she wants. But I do. The conversation ended with a stare-off that nearly turned physical. But it was only the beginning. Carter began to pressure Hope, gently but firmly, to move forward quickly. He suggested eloping. He offered a private island wedding. He even mentioned leaving Los Angeles for a while. Hope hesitated. Not because she didn't love Carter, but because every step forward with him felt like erasing something unresolved with Liam. The emotional noose tightened when Hope found an old letter Liam had written but never sent. In it, he poured out his regrets. He admitted his failures. He painted a vision of the family he still believed they could be. Hope cried when she read it. She didn't tell Carter. But Carter found the letter days later, tucked between pages in her sketchbook. That's when he knew. Liam wasn't just a memory. He was a presence. And if Carter didn't do something fast, he was going to lose everything. Carter planned a surprise engagement party at the Forrester mansion. Everyone was invited. He took the mic, spoke from the heart, and asked Hope to set a date. Hope smiled, nodded, but didn't answer. The room held its breath. Liam stepped in from the shadows. He hadn't been invited. He walked across the floor, right up to Hope, and made his move. "I know I wasn't supposed to be here," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "And I know I don't deserve you. But I also know this, no one else will ever love you the way I do. Not like that. Not after everything we've been through. You're the mother of my child. You're the reason I wake up every morning and want to be a better man. I messed up. I'll probably mess up again. But if you walk down that aisle without giving us one last chance, you'll never really know if we were meant to be." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Carter's jaw tightened. Hope's eyes filled with tears. But she said nothing. Not that night. The next morning, she disappeared. No calls. No messages. No social media. Both men scrambled. Liam went to her cabin. Carter checked every Forrester location. Brooke finally admitted Hope had flown to Big Bear to clear her head. They both followed. They arrived minutes apart. Hope stood at the edge of the lake, arms folded, wind in her hair, staring into nothing. Carter approached first. Pleaded. Promised a life of calm, of trust, of stability. Liam followed. Didn't promise anything except honesty. Except trying. Except them. Hope listened. Said nothing. Then finally she whispered, "I don't know." Tears in her eyes. Conflict in her chest. "I don't know what's right anymore. I just know I don't want to regret this." Carter stepped back. Liam stepped closer. Hope looked between them, her past and her possible future. And then she walked away. Back to the cabin. Alone. The wedding was postponed. Indefinitely. Hope needed space. Liam and Carter both agreed, silently, that the war wasn't over. But neither had won. Yet. And somewhere in the silence of that mountain retreat, Hope Logan began to write. A letter. A final letter. One to herself. Because before she could choose either man, she had to choose herself first. And that choice was still to come. The bold and the beautiful, silent war asterisk asterisk the night sky over Los Angeles offered no hint of the storm that was about to rip through the world of the Spencers, Forresters, and everyone connected to Deacon Sharp's once humble Italian restaurant. Beneath the glittering facade of lights and elegant wine glasses, a war had begun. One fought not with fists or scandals, but in whispers, glances, and shadows. At the center of it all was Luna Nozawa. Brilliant. Calculating. And completely unbound. Everyone thought she had quieted down. After her last scandal nearly toppled everything her family stood for, Luna had seemingly returned to a path of redemption, humble apologies, brief appearances, and subdued behavior. But that was the mask. The truth was darker. Beneath the surface, she was operating a new plan. A more dangerous one. And this time, the target was Deacon Sharp. Sheila Carter had always been a wild card, but even she didn't see this coming. Not at first. Luna was her niece, her blood by unfortunate fate. But blood doesn't make loyalty. And when Sheila began sensing something was off, late-night disappearances, phone calls in hushed tones, receipts for rideshare pickups at 2 a.m., she knew the signs. She had made a life out of those signs. They were always the first tremor before the chaos. At first, Sheila confronted Luna gently. A casual, "Where were you last night?" and a motherly, "You've been so quiet lately." But Luna's responses were careful, sterile, rehearsed. Nothing stuck. But Sheila's gut never lied. Then Lee Finnegan found out. Unlike Sheila, Lee didn't play games or wait for proof. The moment she caught wind of Luna's renewed erratic behavior, she went on high alert. She had buried too many secrets, watched too many lives collapse under the weight of deception. She had fought hard to protect her family name. And she wasn't about to let Luna unravel everything again. But what neither woman knew was that Luna had already slipped the leash. Luna was no longer just manipulating emotions, she was moving pieces. Her new game was centered around Deacon Sharp, the man once considered a liability, now seen as a man reinvented. Deacon had rebuilt his life through sweat and sacrifice. His restaurant was thriving. His image had been cleaned. But that made him vulnerable. Trustworthy. Predictable. Luna saw opportunity. She began visiting Il Giardino more frequently. At first, under the guise of needing space, a late meal, a glass of wine alone. Deacon welcomed her, warm, respectful, unsuspecting. She knew how to play innocence. She knew exactly how to mirror pain and vulnerability in a way that disarmed him. She started asking questions. Small at first, about staffing, inventory, finances. Then deeper, about the ownership structure, how much autonomy Deacon had from Sheila. Whether she had access to the safe. The questions seemed harmless. Until Sheila saw Luna in Deacon's office alone. That was the moment the alarm bells became a siren. Sheila didn't confront Luna in private this time. She waited. She watched. And then, one evening after closing, with the restaurant nearly empty and the air tense, she cornered Luna near the wine cellar. "What are you doing here?" Sheila asked, voice cold. "I'm helping," Luna replied simply. "Helping with what?" "Your future." That was the moment Sheila realized something horrifying. Luna was no longer operating in reaction. She wasn't spiraling. She was executing. Deliberate. Focused. And somehow, Deacon was in the crosshairs. Sheila tried to warn him. But Deacon, ever the optimist, brushed it off. "She's your niece. She's been through hell. Give her a break." "You're the break," Sheila snapped. "Don't you see it? She's using you." Meanwhile, Lee was circling in her own way. She'd accessed hospital security records. She saw Luna had ordered several drug inventories under a shadow account. Nothing large enough to flag the DEA, but enough to raise suspicions. Enough to make Lee suspect Luna wasn't just manipulating people. She was building something. A trap? A heist? A takedown? Then came the moment everything changed. A Thursday night. The restaurant packed. A VIP event in progress. Deacon was working the front of house. Sheila was on edge. And Lee arrived unannounced, in plain clothes, not as a customer, but as a sentinel. She wasn't there to eat. She was there to catch Luna. And catch her she did. At 9:47 p.m., Luna slipped through the back corridor. She didn't see Lee watching from the side hallway. She entered Deacon's private office and locked the door. At 9:49, the fire alarm sounded. Chaos ensued. Guests began to evacuate. Staff rushed to control the panic. Deacon darted toward the kitchen. And Sheila, eyes wide with realization, shoved her way through the crowd to the back hallway. There, she met Lee face to face. "She's in there," Lee said. "I know. What do we do?" And for the first time, the enemies became uneasy allies. Sheila didn't answer. She pounded on the door. "Luna, what the hell are you doing?" No response. Lee rattled the handle. "Luna, open the door now." Still silence. Inside, Luna was calmly deleting files from Deacon's laptop. She had already copied what she needed. Emails, vendor contracts, a particular file Deacon had saved regarding private investors from overseas. Something she could use. Something someone would pay her to use. When she finally opened the door, she looked serene. "You're both overreacting," she said. "I just needed some quiet." "This isn't quiet. This is sabotage," Lee snapped. "Sheila, tell her I didn't mean any harm," Luna said sweetly. But Sheila was done playing. "I don't know what you're doing," she growled, "but I'm done covering for you." "That's too bad," Luna said, eyes suddenly cold. "Because if you don't, everything falls. For all of us." She walked past them without another word. Sheila and Lee stood there stunned. Not by her words, but by the realization that they weren't dealing with a reckless girl anymore. They were dealing with a strategist, a manipulator, a threat. And as the fire alarm turned off and the night resumed, both women knew the war had changed. It was no longer about discipline or redemption. It was about containment. Luna had already slipped through their fingers once. They wouldn't let her do it again. But what neither of them knew, what no one yet realized, was that Luna had already met with one of Deacon's shadow investors. That she had promised information. That money had already changed hands. The restaurant wasn't just a target. It was a pawn. Deacon was just the beginning. And the next move would be checkmate.